Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Kirklin. It's the Game of the Year episode. It's the best episode, maybe not the best episode. It's just the final-ish episode of the year that we always do here. It's going to be a good time. My name is Dylan and I'm joined by the lackluster Kirklin Unknown. I feel so bad that I just said that. I went to Ron Burgundy mode. I just read right off the prompter on that.
I set you up for it. That's fair. No, I'm doing very good. Despite my name being lackluster, I'm feeling more than lackluster. I'm feeling good. It's the holidays. Time off is currently going. Heading up to the hill tomorrow morning, so it's all thumbs up, really. Even despite my name, I guess.
Yeah, I think the name is really more so that for you, 2025 as a year of video games was maybe not one that you played a ton of new stuff, and even the old stuff you played a lot of maybe some of the same things. So it maybe just wasn't like a monumental year for you, I guess. Is that what it is?
I feel like I also didn't realize that until we were like getting ready for this recording for this episode. It was like, yeah, this was a great year. Looking back, I feel like I played a lot of things, and then I had to like pull up games that came out in 2025 and just scanning through. I'm like, oh yeah, I played this one. Scroll. Like, oh man, oh no. And then like even some games that I thought I played a lot that came out this year, they actually didn't come out this year. So it's kind of funny how that happens. But yeah, a bit of a lackluster year for gaming overall for myself. But I mean, we were kind of talking off cast. I'm very much looking forward to next year's. I feel like, next year at the time of this recording, I think we're going to be, I don't think I'm going to be lackluster. I'm going to be whatever the opposite of lackluster is.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad you're still here with me because Game of the Year has always been a funny thing here because I play a lot more games than you, Travis, and Taylor in a given year. And so we can't do like a Golden Geeks, though I would love to, of gaming. But it just doesn't. Maybe we can do it next year. I feel like next year everyone's going to be playing a lot of stuff. So maybe we can do something bigger next year where it's everyone together. And then, so I'd done like solo episodes a couple times. I was doing it with Dante for a couple of years, which was fun because he plays a lot of stuff. So we had like categories, and that was a good time as well. And then last year we had a fun episode where you hadn't played as many games as me, but you still had enough for us to do like a nice back and forth in a nice format. But I'm still glad to have you here because I really liked what we did last year. I thought it was really fun. And even if you haven't played a ton of games this year, I'd rather have someone by my side, and you're the best of the best in that particular way. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun episode. Game of the Year, of course. I have my top 10 list. We're also gonna be talking about honorable mentions, games we didn't play that we want to, like the big hitters from this year that we didn't get to. Travis has given me his Game of the Year. That's going to be embedded somewhere in this episode. A solid 18 minutes of talking about his Game of the Year, so that's awesome. You can look forward to that. Taylor, TBD. If he doesn't get it to me tonight, then I'll probably put it in next week's episode, which I think will just be like a laid-back solo episode from me, almost like a Game of the Year epilogue and like looking forward to next year. I think that's what it will be because everyone's taking time off, and I just want to do something easy and low-key for next week. So look forward to that as well. Just two plugs here, shout-outs here at the very top. One is my game, Potion Problem, is on sale right now for the Steam Winter Sale for I think like 2 weeks or something like that. And it's 50% off, which is the biggest sale that the game has had. And as a developer, I'm going to say that it might be the biggest sale this game will ever have. It's already pretty cheap. So 50%, it's already like, okay, this is like $4. Come on. Like, what more do you want from me? So yeah, check it out. If you haven't picked up the game yet, it's on Steam. And yeah, it's even if you don't want to buy it right now, add it to the wish list. Maybe next time it's on sale, you'll want to pick it up. So you can do that. And then also, I didn't show this out, but this was like a week or two ago, but I released a new YouTube video, another one of my weird kind of strange observational YouTube videos I've been doing, a Skyrim cozy home centered video, which was fun. I liked it. I think it's maybe not my finest video, but it was a good one that I'm happy with, and I'm already well into the next video. I'm really enjoying making these strange videos right now. It's like a nice thing to do, so you can go check out those two things. And how about with that, we get right into it. Game of the Year. I was, thinking a lot about, for me, like how to describe what this year in gaming was for me. And I think really it's like, it's almost like it had like a 3-act structure or something. Like the first chunk of the year, the first few months, really like all the way up until like the summer, like tons of new releases, tons of things coming out. Game Pass wasn't $7,000 a month, so I was subscribed to that. I was playing a ton of new games. There was big things that I was, looking forward to for years, like Civilization 7. Course, like Clair Obscur and all these other big games came out in there. So a lot of big chunky games, a lot of cool indie games came out too. And so I was gaming a lot in that early part of the year. And then when the summer hit, the Switch 2 came out, which admittedly doesn't have like I guess by the end of the year now, it has like a solid amount of new exclusive games for it. But that's always, it's funny. The Switch 2 was not an extremely exciting thing just because it was so iterative on the last Switch. And also, as I'm an old man now, it's like, the hype nostalgia of getting a new console is not quite the same as when I was a child, So just keeping those things into account. But it was still a new console, and that's always a fun, exciting time, picking up the new games for that. So playing a lot of that over the summer. And then after all that, I was extremely burnt out. And I don't know if this happens for you, Kirkland, but every once in a while I'm like, do I like video games? Do I even like doing this? And, the answer is yes, I do. And I always bounce back and then play a million things in a given year. But, man, by the time mid-October, November hit, which is usually the time for me Game of the Year-wise where I'm like, okay, I got to plow through a bunch of things, get ready. The Game of the Year's coming up. I want to play all this stuff. But this year I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I even looked at my Backloggd account, and I didn't track a single game played in November. I think the only things I played were like recording footage for those YouTube videos I was making, but I don't think I played really anything. And a lot of new stuff came out. October, a ton of new games came out. I played a couple of them, but really fizzled out. And then in December, I picked up like Marvel Cosmic Invasion as a new game, and I've played a good amount of that, but that's a pretty short experience. So yeah, I think I was so burnt out of playing so much stuff. A lot of really long games I played this year, I think, which is not typically what I do. So maybe that was part of the burnout as well. But I just needed a bit of a break. And so yeah, I didn't play a ton of stuff in the end. I still have, overall, I have 48 games, new games played this year. 17 that I've marked as complete, which, is always ambiguous and depends on the game and the genre, but still a pretty good number. I think that's like about what I had last year. So I guess it was just spread out and played a lot of stuff in the early months. But yeah, it's funny coming into the game of the year with being like a little cool on just like gaming in general. Just like haven't really played a ton super recently. But I also think that adds like, something like I think last year on my game of the year list, I had mouthwashing pretty high, and I had played like days beforehand. Like it was coming in hot. I don't really have any of that. I feel like I've had time to sit and stew with almost everything on my list, with a couple exceptions, which I'll talk about. So yeah, I think it's probably good that I took a bit of a break because as we've already alluded to, next year is going to be insane. The amount of stuff coming out in just the first 3 months is crazy, and there's still a ton of things that are dated for next year, are going to be supposedly coming out next year. It's just going to be ridiculous. So it's probably good that I chilled out a little bit because these next few months and next year are probably going to be pretty insane. So I think that's a nice, in a nutshell, what my year of gaming looked like. I don't know if you overthink this stuff the way I do, but I don't know if there's a way that you would describe your year in gaming.
Yeah, I don't really know how I would describe it. I definitely feel like it ebbed and flowed on like maybe new to me games that I was getting really into. Shay and I were playing quite a few co-op games together, which was really fun. Kind of more the first half of the year. That's always fun when you can do some couch co-op. I feel like that's just like goes back to the foundation and roots of just me being a gamer. Is you'd have the two remotes, whether it's the Sega console, the PS1, pretty much all those early consoles, they had the two remotes that weren't like $100 a remote, so everybody had the two remotes, and you're able to do some couch co-op. But yeah, like I already kind of said at the top of the show, but just I was surprised at the few new games that I really jumped onto this year, and there was definitely ones that I was getting super hyped on, like the big one being like Ghost of GOTY. I was really excited for that game, and then as we got close to it, it's like, oh yeah, I don't think this is realistic that I can get this.
All three of us, me, you, and Travis, just dipped last minute on that one for some reason.
But it's like, it's like thinking about the potential time that I could set aside to just jump into it, and I can't justify $100 game for that reason.
Timed out badly with your Japan trip for sure on the release date.
Yeah, absolutely. So so to describe my year of gaming, a bit of a all over the place. I feel like it was definitely in this last half of the year, I've been jumping into like old, not necessarily old games, but just games that didn't come out this year that I got really into again. Recently I also completely upgraded my computer, and now that I have a little bit of time off over this break, I'm excited to like really jump into some titles that maybe I haven't been able to. But yeah, it's almost like an in-between year of like, I feel like the year before, like 2024, I was playing a lot more stuff and just really into maybe more like recent things that come out, and then looking forward to 2026, it's like, oh man, there's already like a handful of day ones that I know I'm going to be getting. So yeah, it's a little bit of calm before the storm, I think, just for gaming overall, but still definitely some good ones to mention.
Yeah. So let's start with that. Let's start with the games that we didn't play this year that we kind of wanted to or just didn't get around to. And as you mentioned, Ghost of GOTY, which, for me, Ghost of Tsushima was my number 2 ranked game back in 2020. So I have to imagine if I played the sequel, even if it, is kind of more of the same and doesn't surprise you as much, I have to imagine that would have been, crushing my top 5 or like top 6, 7 level tier stuff. I still really want to get the game for Legends. I hope that they have just a cheaper, you can just buy Legends for $30 or something, because I do really want to play that, but I don't really have the itch to play the base game itself. I don't know what it is. I'll get to it someday when it's deep on sale or PS Plus catalog or something like that. But even with all that said, I still I was kind of fine to leave that one on the shelf. And as you mentioned, games so expensive now. I just got to be a lot more selective with stuff. But I think that was one for both of us that would have been way up there had we actually got around to it.
Yeah, no, especially with the lack of other games. It would have been when I played Stellar Blade was last year, I think already. So that would have been my game of the year. But it's what is it competing up against? Not a whole lot. College football, I think was right up there too. So. I definitely probably would have had that in my number 1. Looking at just what I have played this year. Yeah,
and then a couple other ones. Outer Worlds 2 came out, which this is peak me being burnt out, where it came out at the very end of October. So I didn't get around to it. Everything I've heard is that it's just bigger and better, more impressive than that first game. And I like that first game enough. I had it as number 4 on my 2019 list. I don't know if that would stand in hindsight necessarily. And I do really want to play the game. I am excited for it. And I think a lot of the stuff it's doing seems great. I just, again, burnt out era. Did not want to pick that one up. And then the other one from Obsidian, because they just released a shit ton of games this year, is Grounded 2. And this one's a bit of a asterisk because it's in early access. But that did come out this year, and that was tied for my game of the year in 2022, Grounded. So obviously I love that. But I just the first game came out in early access, and I played it more when it actually had its final release. 2022 is when it went 1.0, and so I'll probably have the same story with Grounded 2 when that finally comes out. But a couple Obsidian ones that I'm sure I'll really enjoy and probably would have been top tier caliber stuff that wasn't quite time for me on those two.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. And then I guess I can be pretty quick because I don't have a ton here. Silent Hill F is one that I really, really want to play. The amount of times I hovered over that buy button on PlayStation and just didn't quite pull the trigger, but that game looks great, especially now I'm playing a lot of horror games these days. Multiplayer stuff, I'm sure Peak would have been the top 10 for me. It's funny, I played a lot of Peak-like games this year, but not actually Peak itself, even though it's from what everyone says, the best of that kind of friend.
I do want to try it. We should definitely, now that I have a newer computer, I definitely want to jump in there.
I don't think you need a new computer for Peak, but hey, if that's the excuse, then that's
great. I could barely have 2 tabs open on my last computer, okay?
Fair enough.
It was
Maybe we could do that over the holidays then. And the other one is Arc Raiders, which I might, I've been talking to a couple friends, and I might buy it and play it in the next couple weeks here. So just,
nice.
Not early enough for me to include my game of the year. I just like last year, I think I revised my game of the year a few months in or something like that. So I can definitely do that with Arc Raiders. But those 2 games I'm sure I would have loved. And then a couple smaller indie ones that just come to mind. One is Skate Story, which is a really cool looking skateboarding game. It was a big year for skateboarding games between Tony Hawk coming back with another remake, Skate coming out, but again in early access and being kind of a weird situation. But Skate Story looks great, and I've heard it's amazing. And that game just came out a few days ago, so it's still a little fresh. I haven't picked it up yet. And then the other one I wanted to shout out, and I don't know why I'm shouting this out, but I feel the need to. There's this game called Dead Static Drive. Dead Static Drive that I've had on my wish list for years, and every once in a while, just no news or updates, never finding anything on it. Just a couple trailers in the description. I'm like, man, this game looks so cool. And always every once in a while, I don't use Twitter, but every once in a while I just go on Twitter to just see if they've posted anything so I can get an update on when this freaking game is coming out. And then randomly I got an email and it was this game is out. And I was like, what? These guys even try to market this thing. And I went on Steam. I was like, well, of course I'm going to buy this. And then the reviews were really, really bad. And people were this game's kind of buggy and not really what it's chopped up to be. So I was so disappointed in that because that game looked so cool. And so I'll probably play it at some point, but it seemed like it's maybe a bit too buggy right now at the very least. So maybe I'll come back and check that one out at some point in the future. But I think those were the highlights for me. I'm sure there's tons of other ones that look great, look interesting, but I think ones that probably would have made a dent on my top 10. That's kind of what I kept it to here. So yeah, how about you? What are the kind of top on your hit list here? Your itinerary, to use a Taylor Field term.
I'm glad you shouted out Skate Story because I just saw it's been added to the PlayStation catalog, so I have access to it.
I'm
so I
do. That soon.
Yeah,
Very cool,
I definitely wanted. I saw somebody streaming it, and I'm like, oh, I remember talking to you about this on this cast, and just looks really unique and cool for a skateboarding game. I like the 1 year we had like the Demon Tony Hawk. I can't remember what that one was called.
Hellskate,
but yeah, that sounds right. But just I like these little skins or variations that they have on these just familiar skateboarding games that we've seen in the past. So definitely would want to shout out that one as well. Arc Raiders would definitely be another one. I feel like this running joke where Taylor's always bringing this up, and I always drop the from Mean Girls, the stop trying to make fetch happen. The Gretchen Wieners meme. But yeah, the more gameplay I see of it just looks so great. He had a really good little mini review that he did on here with us, and funny enough, coming off of Avatar, Fire and Ash, there's many sequences where there's just like really large scale warfare going on. I'm like, I just want to be a soldier shooting some rockets at a giant mech right now. So I definitely want to jump into there at some point. It just keeps like coming across my my brain where I'm like, man, should I just drop the coin on this right now? But there's also just a handful of other things that I'm kind of prioritizing right now. But still, definitely wanted to shout that out. I feel like the obvious one is Expedition 33, the reigning game of the year. I have not heard a single thing that's not just this is the best game I've ever played from from people that I've heard have played it, or it looks amazing. I love everything that I've heard about it. It just looks amazing. I'm really trying to like stay away from story stuff because I'm sure it's one of those you can only really experience the one time. So trying to stay away from that, which so far so good. The other kind of sleeper one that I definitely just assume I wasn't going to be able to get for a very long time, but recently just upgraded my computer. Avowed, Dylan Muss. I really want to give Avowed a shot. More gameplay I see of it just looks right up my alley, and you gave a good little mini review or a full review actually on here, and it just seems like right up my alley. It feels like something similar, whether it's an in between of like an arcane title or stuff like that, but just with like the magic element. It just seems really cool, and I assumed I never was going to be able to play it because PlayStation owner, but now that I have a better computer that could run it a lot smoother, definitely want to give that one a shot. And I believe it's on like 50% off sale right now on Steam,
nice.
So I might bite that bullet and get in there. And it's just a single player title, right? Or is there multiplayer elements to it? Yeah,
single player.
Okay,
yeah.
I'm totally fine with that.
You know what? I'm going to use this opportunity. I'm just going to jump right in my number 10 on my list because
let's go.
That was Avowed. So I'm doing number 10 before my honorable mentions, but we'll roll back to that. It just seems like a good time to throw it in here. I really debated. There's kind of two. It's between Avowed and one other game I'll mention in a minute that were like really close for that number 10 spot on my list. So Avowed kind of is barely squeaking in there, and it's a weird one where like on the podcast you can very much see my reaction to it in real time because I think I talked about it like 4 weeks straight, and I kind of progressively cooled on it a bit as I got deeper into it, but only because I guess the game just didn't feel like it had a ton of variety in those like later sections areas of the game. But the combat is so freaking good. Like one of the best first-person like fantasy combat systems I've ever played, which is so surprising for me because that's like not really what I go to Obsidian games for, right? Like I think more about the world or the stories and the consequences and the RPG elements. But the combat is always kind of like the lacking part of it. Like it's good enough, but it's not really why you're playing these games.
Yeah.
But Avowed totally changed that. The spells are so freaking cool. The animations are amazing. The way like they integrated spell books and like dual wielding and like a very like an evolution of kind of like Skyrim's combat in that way. And like the RPG systems and like leveling up your character, the skill trees are really fun. Even like upgrading gear and stuff like that. I really enjoyed all that kind of minutia of like all the RPG systems. And I think for me, like the story and the characters and a little bit of the world building were like a little bit underwhelming. especially when I got to like the end game or whatever. But man, that combat is just so fun, and I feel like that is a game I'll just jump back into every once in a while just to try, and like every once in a while to respec and just try like totally new builds and just screw around with like, oh, I want to try like a big double-handed like Warhammer strategy now, and like always having fun with that stuff, and really good like feedback when you're hitting enemies, which is another thing Bethesda games usually lack. So this feeling like a Bethesda game but just having like really, really fun combat is ultimately why I put it in my number 10 spot. So yeah, crazy year for Obsidian. Grounded 2, Outer Worlds 2, and Avowed, insane. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with Avowed sitting at my number 10. It feels just right for it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm glad we had a clean segue into there. The one game that came out this year, might be sacrilegious that I hadn't mentioned it. Death Stranding 2, it's kind of like the big asterisk on my list, just because I haven't rolled credits on Death Stranding 1. I'm like 80% of the way through that game. And I mean, this break might be a really good time to just roll credits on that, because it's the type of game that I don't want to be limited on my time. Like, I don't want to be like, okay, I have an hour to play, especially if I haven't played in months. It's like, oh God, like what are my orders? What am I doing here? Like trying to get a lay of the land. So that might be a good opportunity.
So I like that idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Death Stranding 2, it's not going anywhere. And same thing with like Claire Obscure's Expedition 33. I haven't gotten spoilers or anything on that. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be getting to it at some point, but
that is
not
my
an
number
immediate
9,
rush.
So I won't mention it now.
Okay.
I'll mention it later.
Damn, I was trying to hit all your in order.
Any other ones?
For games that I haven't gotten to for 2025, not so much. That's kind of it. Of course, there's other titles that I would love to get my hands on, but just to like actually make a list of like, these are kind of my priorities. That's kind of where I'm leaving it at right now. I mean, 2026 has multiple bangers, and we only have so much time, so I want to be picky and choosy here with like my top ones that I do want to get to. But yeah, that's kind of it for now.
Got it. Yeah, I guess then we can roll right into my honorable mentions, and I'll be pretty quick with these. So 2 quick hits for a couple like remastery things. The Oblivion remaster is really good. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and this is like a great way to play it. But it's just too similar to me. Like, they did add a couple things, but didn't really feel like it was different enough to warrant putting it in here as like a new game. And also the Plants vs. Zombies replanted version that's on Switch. I really like that. I think it runs really well, plays really well, adds new stuff and things like that. And I've played a bunch of that. But again, not like there is new content in there, but for me, it's kind of more the same. The Sea of Stars DLC was honestly like probably top 10 quality worthy for me. It was so good. It's not super duper long, I guess, compared to the main game, but really, really fun time. But because it's DLC, I decided to leave it off the list. Monochrome Heights is a really cool platformer that a good friend of mine made and released, and I really love that game. Again, maybe top 10 quality, but I just, bias reasons, chose not to put it on the list. Civilization 7, I really love what this game is doing. I've had a really good time with it. I still haven't really gone back to it because it came out in like February, I think. And I've just kind of been waiting for all the patches to come through and for it to be like complete. Because as I mentioned when I talked to you about it, like feels like an early access game. But even then, it's like still really, really good. But also that game crashed like constantly and stuff. So I definitely will come back to it. And I'm sure it's a Civilization game I'll put many, many hours to in the future. But just haven't come back to it yet. Marvel Cosmic Invasion, a recent one. I just talked about it a couple weeks ago. Really, really fun time. I'm very excited to do that on next 24-hour stream or GB Day or whenever we play that, because it's just like 0.5 of an Ultimate Alliance game, in my opinion. Like, it's pretty short, but the movesets are great. The combo attacks are great. Looks great. Fun villains that are in the mix there, and I'm still going through and getting like 100% completion. Just getting all the challenges for every mission is really, really fun. So, loving that game. Metal Garden is a weird indie that I talked about, I think with the episode with Taylor maybe. It's a really small game. The scale of it, not too much going on there. Combat very simple, but man, it just has such great atmosphere, and I find that it's a game that I just keep thinking about. The ending in particular as well, like just leaves you a lot to chew on, and almost like I wanted more, but also in a way it's like, for a cheap short game that it was, like I can't really complain too much. But I really, really enjoyed that game, and I really debated it putting it at number 10. And then last honorable mention for me, Kirkland, is a game that came out in November that I just got 2 days ago and have been playing, and that is Kirby Air Riders. which is a freaking joy. And it's obviously the same team as the Smash team. And the music is very similar to Smash. The menu is very similar. Obviously, it's Sakurai, so it's very him and his weird style of how he makes things. So it's like I feel like a bias to it just because I love Smash so much. But it's a weird, crazy game. Like comparing it to Mario Kart as like the other Switch like launch year racing game, it's just such a weird game with such strange mechanics and just layers on top of it and different modes and stuff. And I'm having a really good time with it. Based on what I've played so far, I think it maybe would crack like number 9 or 10 or something if it came out earlier, or it did come out earlier, if I had played it earlier and had more time with it. But since it's kind of low enough, I'm fine. I did think, should I just slap it at number 10? But that would feel like a bit too crazy. So I think Avowed definitely deserves it over Kirby Air Riders. But I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'll talk about that more in depth on a future episode. Don't need to get into my review of that game right now just because it is pretty fresh still. But shout outs to Kirby Air Riders, another one that I think will be a fun. That's going in the gauntlet, and I can't wait to see you guys playing that against each other. I think that'll be a really fun one. So shout-outs to all those beautiful games that made my honorable mention list.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm excited to get my hands on Kirby Air Riders and just see how similar it is to that one I played way back on the GameCube. That was just Kirby Air Rider also?
I can't remember. Air Ride. Yeah,
Air Ride. Air Ride. There you go.
Yeah.
That was close.
Yeah, I think they have a bunch of classic maps in the game, like all the ones from that game. I don't know if it's all of them, but they have a bunch of them, so I'm sure that'll be fun for you too to see like the zhuzhed up versions with all the new characters that you can. Because I think in the original game you could only play as Kirby, right? But this one has like a ton of playable characters, different crazy machines that all behave super differently. So all of that is very cool. Let's see, we are at the 27-minute mark. How about we take a quick moment to thank all of the wonderful Patreon producers. Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Superbad Mike, TGGLM69, Charlie Rendell, Cocktail Clay, John with No H, and Sam Green. Thank you all for the support this year, keeping the lights on. Another good year of Sidequest. Thanks to all of you. If you go on the Patreon, you get episodes early and ad-free exclusively. You get to vote on the content that we make, which I think there's quite a few of those happening next year. So yeah, thank you to everyone for the support this year. It's been a very fun year as it normally is. And yeah, so thank you for that. I think now in the episode, if Taylor, there's two ways. This is a choose your own adventure. If Taylor has sent me his game of the year, we will hear that now. And if he hasn't, then you won't hear that now, and you'll hear it next week instead. So either here is Taylor or here are ads. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. We will see what happened there with Mr. Field. Only the future knows. I do not know at this current time. So, how do I want to do this? I think I will. Okay, I have a plan here. I'm gonna shout out my next two games on my list, Kirkland, and then we'll go to one of your shout outs of the other year. But I'm gonna start with so obviously Avowed was my number 10. Jumping into number 9. This is where I put Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, which is always tricky with remake, remaster, stuff. You know, is that eligible? Well, the answer is yes, because it's my list. I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
But I always debate with that. And, Resident Evil 4 remake, that ended up going on my list. A game I'd never played the original of, so it feels like a bit of cheating in a way. But that game was so good that it made it really high on my list, and I felt like it was worthy of that spot, even if it was, based on a previous game. And this one's weird because I have not played Tony Hawk 3 or 4 before, so it's almost like two new games in one. But for me, I think where I felt pretty justified in putting it on the list is that, one, it is all new to me, but also 4 was like completely reworked. A lot of people who've actually played the original say it's like reworked for the worse. Like they took away like a story mode and just made it like the classic arcade style, but I really like the classic arcade style. So there's enough that's changed there. The maps have all like changed pretty drastically in their visual style and like terms of stuff. There's 3 completely brand new maps, and some of them are like my favorite in all the Tony Hawk games I've ever played. Like really, really good new maps in there. New racers, or not racers. Now I got Kirby Air Ride on the mind. New skaters, new music in there. A bunch of new challenges that the original game didn't have, which like adds tons of hours of gameplay going for these crazy challenges and speed runs and things like that. So to me, it was fresh and new enough to justify going on the list. And honestly, in terms of my level of enjoyment, it probably should be higher on my list, like maybe up to like 6 or something. But again, because it is a remake remaster, I kind of docked it a couple points for that. And so, yeah, it sits at number 9, which feels right. But it's funny, in the last few days, putting my list together, trying out different versions of the list, seeing what looks right, what doesn't. Any variation where I didn't have Tony Hawk on the list felt wrong, because I played a lot of this game. And yes, it is a bit tricky because I played this and then like 4 other Tony Hawk games in like a month span. And so it's like, am I just thinking about that period of time? But I think I can very easily remember like what maps are from that game, my time with that game specifically. And yeah, so for me, that is number 9 on the list. And yeah, I guess there you go. There's a 2025 game you played. You played a little bit of that on the stream.
I was trying to forget about that, Dylan. Thanks for reminding everyone, including myself. But no, I mean, good shout out. I kind of forgot that came out this year. But yeah, I'm bad memories playing that game.
Bad memories.
Got slapped by the great Tyler Saris.
Well, someday if you do buy it and play the full thing, I'm sure you'll make nothing but good memories. And then number 8, I am curious about this one when it comes to you. Blueprints is my number 8.
I kind of forgot about that until now, honestly, because I was just looking at some other games over here, and I mean, I'll let you go.
No, so I want to hear. So obviously not your game. I didn't want to. If it was, I would have been like, oh, I don't know if I want to. I don't want him to say one way or the other.
That's
but
fair.
I guess I don't know.
Not my game of the year.
Yeah, did you ever go back?
I did roll credits.
You
I
did,
did, yes.
You got to the 46th room,
Great shout out. I definitely just completely forgot about this one, so that was my bad there. But really, really unique game. I love the visuals of it, and just like what the game was, like the gameplay loop and the like what the mechanics were was just really, really fun to play through. Played it a lot, obviously. We did our episode, or let me rephrase that. I was playing it a lot leading up to our episode that we recorded together, and then just took a little bit of a hiatus. I feel like I was just beating my head against the wall, and I just kept kind of getting stuck at like the same progression point of my runs, and then put it down for a little while, and then jump back in. And it took me like a little bit to just kind of like refresh on like how to do it efficiently. The more you play it, you kind of like get permanent unlocks that make it a little bit easier to get a little bit further in runs. But no, I was very happy. I felt like I got really lucky with my like completion run. That's probably how it normally goes for many people, but it was very, very satisfying. I don't think I'm really going to jump back into it. Like now that I have rolled credits, it's just like, okay, I did it, dust my hands off and play through it there. But really, really glad I did go back and just to say that I was able to get through it, because I had spent so much time of like really getting into it and feeling like I was just getting like, I don't know, certain strategies together on what would allow me to go a little bit further in the run. But super, super unique game, and definitely one that's worthy of an honorable mention. It's not my top game of the year. If I had played maybe more than 3 2025 games, I could have formulated like a top 5 list at least. But I'll just put it as an honorable mention, because it is definitely a really cool game that's worthy of recognition and a shout out.
Yeah, I feel like my top 10s always have one like really good puzzle game that usually tends up being like, I don't know if I've ever had like 2 big puzzle games in my top 10, but I feel like there's always one. And I can think that's the one for this year, which is funny, like puzzle mixed with roguelike. I think that's one of the things I really liked about it, is that it is just a weird amalgam of genres. Like it feels very fresh and new. I really like the style of the game, like just one, like the visual style, but also just the unfurling of it, looking at the map, conferring, all that stuff. Just a really fun game of, man, my notebooks were looking crazy, and all the pictures in my phone, like the huge gallery of stuff, and feeling crazy trying to piece things together. And a lot of that didn't end up going anywhere, or is related to something that I still haven't solved. But similar to you, back when I played the game, for me, when I rolled credits, I did a couple more runs. Then the RNG was kind of, I guess, more frustrating to deal with at that point. And I was like, you know what? I'm pretty happy I rolled credits. I feel like I saw maybe not everything I did want to see. There's definitely some more secrets I would like to find out about, and some spoiler things I've listened to afterwards. Like, whoa, there's some crazy stuff that happens in this game that I would have liked to see, but I just didn't want to beat my head against the wall with RNG and kind of start to hate the game. So I'm really happy with like just the perfect amount of the game that I ended up playing. And yeah, just really fun piecing things together. And it starts out in like a very simple way of just putting those rooms together, see combinations, and then finding out like, oh, there's all this stuff outside, and finding different ways around there, coming up with like meta shortcuts in a way by like changing things in the environment was really, really satisfying. And then some puzzles that like I still remember, like, man, when I finally put those together, those are super fun. Or even just like the little parlor like riddles, like the 3-box ones. Like those are just fun. I just like if that was like a mini game in any game, I'm like, yeah, I would spend like hours doing that. Like it's just a good ass time. So I really like the weird kind of weird roguelike mixed with like board game kind of ethos. Like it's a weird, strange game, kind of creepy at times too. And yeah, just one I really had a good time with. And yeah, I think even though I didn't see it all, I saw enough to really love it and want to put it in my top 10 for the year.
There's so much in there too. Like I remember watching like a YouTube, like a YouTuber just going through and like he was just interacting with things that I didn't even know was a thing in that game. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I really have the endurance to to get to this point of the game because there is just so much to it, which is sweet. You know, shouts out to them for adding all that into the game. But I feel like I also have a special place in my heart for games that have like, okay, you have the base mechanics, the base of what you're doing. I got a couple examples that I'll shout out, but then also just like the little like side quest type mini games that are in there, that if those are really fun too, I feel like that just adds so much to a game. Sea of Stars, I wasn't the biggest fan of what was it, Crossbones? Is that what it was? Wheels. There you go. I don't know where I got Crossbones from, but clearly I didn't play it that much.
New Wheels content in the DLC this year that was really good. I love Wheels. I'm a big Wheels
I should
fan.
give it another try. I tried it a couple times, got bopped. I'm like, no, I'm not learning this. But another shout would be something like Gwent, you know, from The Witcher. Like I just spent so much time playing that, and it's so great to have some really sweet mini games within the base game.
Yeah. Okay, let me shout out one more, and then we'll go over to your list. A reason being because it's another roguelike. I have Ball Pit here, or Ball X Pit, or Ball Cross Pit, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so this one came out in October, and another one that I feel like I guess I beat it multiple times technically in terms of like beating like the final level with like a few different character combinations and stuff. But not a roguelike that I want to just play endlessly. I mean, they did announce that they're going to make more content for it, so maybe I will jump back into it at some point. But another one that like I got in, had a great time, and got out. I think it's almost like it's like a meta commentary on like the state of roguelikes and just roguelike as a genre, which is even kind of indicative with the title of the game, it being like a cross between two things. And I love how the game kind of hints at that, and then like thematically and then like mechanically doubles down on a lot of those things. There's I don't feel the need to spoil some of the things that happen in there, but just like the ways you eventually combine characters or combine different roguelike powers in ways that were like extremely surprising and really funny, or just crazy, over the top, completely unexpected. And then there's like kind of a meta base building component that I actually enjoyed as well. I thought that was interesting. And yeah, it has like the same artist or whatever as Loop Hero, which I really like that aesthetic. So the game has like a really cool style to it as well. And yeah, one that I just really had a great time with. Such a fun, inherently just dopamine-inducing kind of genre of like a brick-breaking type of game. But I feel like there's a couple other games that have tried things like this, and this one was the one that really seemed to like take that and evolve it, and like in 2025, what makes this engaging? And this game like just went all out in that way. So had a great time with this extremely weird game, Ball Pit. So yeah, definitely making it to my number 7 on my list, which I'm happy about.
One that I feel like the name doesn't do it too justice. You know, I feel like I hear the name Ball Pit. I'm like, okay, yeah, I know what a ball pit is. How great can this game really be? But
it is kind of different than a ball pit that you would think of, right? Because you're thinking of like a McDonald's ball pit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not really that kind of ball pit.
No. Interesting.
But I don't know. Maybe they need to market that better. Kirkland, give me one of your 3 games of the other year picks.
Yeah. So how I want to do this is I got a couple that I feel like I just really got into this year that I played in the past. Maybe I've even talked about them on here in the past, but I just really got into them again this year. But I wanted to start off with shouting out a couple games that came out a year or so ago, but I played for the first time this year. The first one that I want to shout out is Balatro, which
nice.
I believe that was your game of the year when it came out, or was it not?
Number
it was up
2
there
behind UFO 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course. How can you beat UFO 50? But Balatro, really amazing game. That, again, another one that just I had only heard positive things from. And, of course, you told me all about it on the Sidequest that we did together. But I had another friend that was I feel like he doesn't really like play a lot of like card games or things like this. So when he told me about it, I was extra put off. He's like, "You want to know what is really the game of the year? Balatro." This, and I'm like, "Okay, I know all about this game." And then ended up picking it up. I actually got it first on the phone because when I got my new phone, I had like free Apple Arcade for like a couple months, and it was on there, and just such a great like phone game to have on you. Of course, it's like solitaire, so that is naturally like a mobile game in and of itself, but
Yeah.
really really sweet game. Just dopamine hit when you get those multipliers going off like crazy. It's really fun just collecting the jokers and whatnot, and just a nice low key laid back game. So one that I finally was able to get into this year and had lots and lots of fun with it, and one that I imagine I'm gonna keep putting time into because it's just really really addicting, and yeah, lots and lots of fun there. So shouts out to Balatro.
I love that you paired that right after my little roguelike spiel. That was beautiful.
Yeah, there you go. Completely planned. And then the other one was another one that came out. I don't know if it's last year or 2 years ago, but this is because online it says 2023, but I believe it just came to PlayStation last year. Ready or Not, the shooter tactics game.
I just got an ad for that on Discord, like a Video Quest ad. So
I think I saw that also because sometimes on Discord they have like little quests that you can like unlock things for. I don't really know, like I've never really engaged with them, but I just saw it on there. So there you go. The timing's perfect. But no, really sweet game that is just right up my alley. I love these like super intense tactical shooters. I said tactics. That was a miss. It's not a XCOM or Fire Emblem Tactics game, but just very tactical, very like unforgiving in the sense of like one bullet kills everything. It's it's good for if you're shooting the enemy, but also if you get bopped, you're down in one shot. And I just had lots of fun. It definitely takes me back to, I was a big Rainbow Six Vegas guy, so it just reminds me of that kind of era of my tactical shooters, and one I want to go back and play more of. And I think it'll only be more fun if I'm able to get some lads on there and playing online together, because like friendly fire is very much a thing. So when I'm playing with AI bots, they're well trained, they're not shooting the civilians or anything by accident, but I've just seen so many clips of just the chaos that can unfold when you're actually playing with friends, and you're just trying to clear out these places, and you're trying to not kill anyone innocent. But of course, when you're playing online, it gets chaos. So I definitely want to access that part of the game, but really 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 sweet game that I definitely recommend to people that are, like I said, just kind of like me, and then they grew up playing those Rainbow Six, the early Rainbow Sixes that were very difficult compared to what they are now. So yeah, shouts out to Ready or Not.
Love it. Great pick. Okay, next up for me, number 6. This is where I put Atomfall, which ended up being, I think, a lot higher than I thought it would be after I completed, or even just in the last couple of months of thinking about the list, what my top 10 would look like. But ultimately, when I compared this to Avowed, Blueprints, Ball Pit, like I just feel like there's something about this game that really speaks to me, and I think that part of this is it's a very Dylan-centric game, because to some extent it feels like a mini Bethesda game, and to some extent of like exploration and like kind of janky combat and stuff like that. But then it also has like the Outer Wilds or like Tunic part or Blueprints part of it, of like piecing things together, combining clues and information. In this game, not so much one that you need to do that on paper, because it kind of just does it really well in the game, of like, rather than just like a quest log of like go to point A and then go to point B and then kill this guy, grab item, go back to point A. It just like gives you all these different notes or conversations you had just get dumped into like a topic, and then all this stuff is there, and so you kind of have to like decipher this info and put things together and figure things out. And it's like, oh, I got this safe code, and like, what is it related to? And it'll like get tucked in like the right spot. So just really, I think that's kind of the highlight for me of the game, is like the quest structure was so cool and unique. And I think part of why it works so well is because it is a pretty tight, smaller experience. Like, I don't think this would work with a Bethesda style game as much. I mean, Morrowind was kind of like that back in the day a little bit with its weird quest log, but something that I really hope a lot of other games copy what Atomfall did. And I don't know if they will, because the game wasn't that big or didn't really seem to move the needle a whole lot, but I really love the quest structure of it. It's funny, like, this is from Rebellion, so the makers of Sniper Elite, and honorable mention to Sniper Elite Resistance as well, which they released 2 games this year, and I really enjoyed Sniper Elite Resistance. That was a really fun time as well. So again, just like Obsidian, crushing it with multiple releases in 1 year. And that's like a weird thing with Adamfall. Is like the combat wasn't very good. It feels like very janky, and the stealth doesn't really work that well, even though they're like masters of making stealth games. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe it's just the transition to first person. Maybe they used a new engine for this or something like that. So there's definitely some, they got to get some of that rust off, I think, before they do another one, if they do make a sequel or something. I know there's a DLC for this game already that I haven't actually played yet as well. But I still, even with jank included, I had just had a really great time going through this, exploring the different areas, discovering the different ways you can connect between the like 4 to 5 like open worldy kind of zones. Then you can go to like neutral areas and towns and talking with people and getting more information that way. And a game that has multiple endings, usually I never see those multiple endings, but in this one I was like making saves at different spots because I wanted to see, I'm really curious what happens if you side with this one character. And so I did 4 or 5 like different versions of those just to see the different possibilities of it all. And just a really, really fun mystery overall. And I really enjoyed Adamfall. I think a very underrated game. And I think for a lot of people, they could bounce off of it just because of the kind of jankiness to some of the actual combat and stealth stuff. And I don't know, maybe they've even fixed some of that with updates and like the DLC that's out now. I probably should check that out. I should probably go check out that DLC. But yeah, don't forget about Adamfall. I think a very underrated gem from this year for me.
Nice. Yeah. Would you say that one was like runtime wise, like under 10 hours?
It took me 20 hours to do
okay.
it. But again,
that's much longer than I would have expected, honestly.
Yeah, I think you probably, like, if you didn't do the multiple ending stuff, and there's a point when I was like, okay, I could go for an ending here, but I want to discover more things. So definitely not 100% completion, but I definitely spent more hours with it than, most players probably would. I would imagine that I took a bit longer with it just because I was really enjoying discovering all the hidden corners and I wanted to uncover a lot of things. But yeah, it was about 20 hours when it was all said and done, so pretty substantial. And definitely longer than like any Sniper Elite game I've played. There's a lot of replayability with those levels, which I guess if you take advantage of that, you'd get a lot more playtime out of it. But just in terms of the base campaign, it was a lot longer than some of their other stuff. So yeah, very cool. And I hope they do more of this stuff like this. I don't know how you do a sequel story-wise, but even like a spiritual sequel or something like that, or just more weird first-person detective-y games like this from them, I think would really hit the spot. So hopefully they do more of that. I'll take Sniper Elite as well, but, Adamfall, something new and fresh and different and all that. And cool world, cool setting, all that. Shout-outs to that. How many, other than your game of the year, how many shout-outs do you have? Just trying to think of spacing of things.
3 shout-outs, or I guess 4, but like very fast. So it's kind of the equivalent of one.
Give me one of the shout-outs right now.
One of the really quick ones, Cult of the Lamb. Shay and I played a lot of that couch co-op earlier this year. I shouted out because we actually were hitting end game stuff and we're grinding it a lot and just falling back in love with that game, and we decided to boot it back up not too long ago. We're kind of getting, because it's a pretty difficult game, also especially with where we're at in the in-game content, and because the DLC is dropping, I believe in January, or if it's not January, it's in February.
I just looked it up,
we're gonna be jumping right back in there. So we just kind of wanted to get the dust off of the of the fingers, getting ready for that one, because we love that game. So shouts out to my lamb right here that rocks with me on these casts. So just wanted to shout that one out because it was taking up a lot of gaming time. Very, very quick shout out for also just to pair up these two. Ace Combat 7. I jumped back into that one with what was it called? Wings of Thief or something like that. I can't remember what the subtitle is for the new one, but man, I'm so fucking hyped for that. So I decided to boot it back up, and it's kind of fun playing the earlier missions when because you have all your unlocks if you just redo missions. So I'm redoing it with the fucking Black Hawk stealth fighter, where the stats are just basically maxed out, whereas normally when you're doing the earlier missions, your plane is so slow. So I'm actually speed running these missions now. It's pretty crazy, honestly, especially just some of the advanced weaponry that you have later on is just absolutely nuts compared to what you start with. Because just for example, there's one where it's okay, I can lock onto maybe 4 enemies. With one of mine, I can lock on 16. It's just absolutely nuts. So definitely speedrunning it. But man, it's such a fun game, and I'm very excited for when we get Ace Combat 8. So there you go. Nice. Just a couple of quick shout outs there.
Love it. All right. I normally break down my lists into a bit of tiers. So I guess going back, 10 Avowed, 9 Tony Hawk. I think for me those were almost like in that honorable mention tier. Like they're kind of interchangeable with some honorable mentions. That was like my first tier. And then, yeah, Blueprints at 8, Ball Pit 7, Atomfall at 6 were kind of like a little triplet tier, somewhat interchangeable, but I'm happy with the order I've picked today. My next tier is kind of a spoiler for both the games, so I'll just say them kind of both at once. The tier is called the Nintendo Switch 2 launch title games. So Mario Kart World is my number 5, and Donkey Kong Bonanza is my number 4. So I guess starting out with Mario Kart. Have you played World? I guess, did you play World on the stream?
I don't think on the stream, but at some point, I think I was like filming something at Travis's, and then we played a couple of matches.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So I have played it a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, not enough to really like.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand the game now. Only like 1 or 2 maps.
Right. Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of people sour on this game already, and I think, comparison-wise, if you compare it to the last Mario Kart, that's a hard comparison, because Mario Kart 8 came out on the freaking Wii U. It got DLC when it got ported to the Switch, and then it got 58,000 courses as DLC, and so we're comparing it against a game that had 10 years to cook and become the best Mario Kart game ever. And so Mario Kart World, naturally there's not as much content as Mario Kart 8 has. So when you compare it in that way, I can see why some people have maybe soured on it, or it's just a game you play for a couple weeks and then you don't come back to it. I mean, for me personally, when I have friends over, I have jumped in and have played it kind of consistently since it came out. But I'm sure this game will be on that tier with 8, a few years down the line when it gets some DLC. I don't know if they'll do that right away, because 8's DLC came out years later too. So I don't know if they'll do anything with Mario Kart World right now, or if they'll just kick that down the road. Either way, I'll still be playing this version, probably interchangeably with 8. But I really like what this game is. I think it looks great, it sounds great, which you kind of expect for any Mario Kart game. The inclusion of costumes for me is a really fun thing, to just get some freaky looks for my favorite Nintendo characters. I love that I love my freaks, they added all the freak characters in there, like Cow and Para, Baba Trooper, and Goomba.
Shouts out to Cow, man.
All the weirdos that you can now play as, which I love. The courses, I think the courses are all great. They're all super fun. I like the variety too of since you have the level transitions, which I know some people don't love, but you have options, right? As long as you're playing you're not playing online, you have the option to choose whatever you want. And I really like that you have the option of just doing regular laps on your favorite courses, or the transition levels, which add just kind of a exponential amount of courses or variations you can have on them. So I really like that. I've had a lot of fun doing that, and even screwing around with the open world stuff, just exploring stuff, finding little hidden nooks or collecting hidden coins, doing little challenges. Yeah, it's not the best open world game by any means, and it's not super meaningful. It doesn't have some big story or whatever. But man, I love this game. I think it's really great. It's I think it's the perfect launch title game, perfect pack-in to have with a console, which of course they have the bundle there. So yeah, I've had a ton of fun with Mario Kart, and I think another part of this too is this is the first game I played on the Switch 2, of course, because it day one pack-in. This is probably the last Switch 2 game I'll play in 10 years from now or whatever. Last time I boot up my Switch 2 will probably be to play Mario Kart World, and so part of that is really meaningful. So shouts to Mario Kart. And then number 4, Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is also, since it came out a month later or whatever, it's in that kind of launch window era, and another really great launch game with a console. And yeah, really, really fun. I mean, for me, it's almost hard to call it a platformer, because not a ton of it feels this is some big platforming challenge. Although in the end game, when you're getting to doing some crazy stuff at the end, there are some really good challenges that are actually pretty tricky timing, stuff like that. But I think for the most part, this game, kind of like Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, is trying to just open up the format, really let you screw around, let you break these levels, which you can destroy every block if you want in the whole world. And just hey, there's a banana here, and yeah, there's one intended way to go there, but then you can get really creative and do some wild combination of stuff to get there early. And I definitely did that a couple times. I'm man, that felt so good to break this game and cheat to get here earlier than I normally should. There's a good variety of levels. I would have liked maybe a couple more just to round out the playtime and depth of it, which of course they kind of piecemealed one as DLC and sold that for $35, which I'm not happy about, but that's been well drawn on the podcast already. But some really great creative levels. The ending of this game is amazing. The last hour or two, just the amount of plot twists and things going on and the craziness of the worlds. The final boss fight is so fun, really, really well designed, really creative, really crazy. So I really, really enjoy this game. It's a super fun time. And yeah, there's a couple worlds that are pretty lackluster, but there's also a ton that really blew me away. And yeah, overall, I just had a lot of fun with it. Didn't get 100% completion by any means, but I did a lot. Definitely went through and plowed through a ton of this game, especially for like to get those end game challenge things. You gotta knock out quite a few extra bananas and tokens and whatever. So definitely did a bunch of that stuff. So yeah, shoutouts to Donkey Kong Bonanza and just generally the Switch 2 launch lineup. I thought worked really well for me. Now I'm playing Air Riders. I haven't played Metroid yet, but yeah, I think overall, like considering it came out in like June, that's like pretty solid. And there's other ones too, some smaller games that came out. I think it's pretty solid for like a little launch window for a new console. And I'm sure next year, we get Fire Emblem. I don't know. There's a new Mario Tennis. I'm sure there'll be a couple big like surprise ones that we don't know about yet. So yeah, I'm excited to dive more into this console. But even just this last week, playing more Air Riders and just like I really love the feel of this new console, and it's good to kind of be grateful, I guess, for that sometimes. Like yeah, it's not a huge new console, but it is still a fun piece of new hardware that I'm glad that I have, and it's mostly because of Mario Kart World and Bonanza. That's the main reason why I'm happy about this thing. So yeah, there's my little Nintendo corner for my top 10 list.
Nice. The usual suspects, the Nintendo titles.
Yeah,
Mario Kart and Donkey Kong.
I usually have like one or two. A lot of them float like right in that honorable mention tier, kind of like where Kirby Air Riders is. But usually there's one like up there in my top 5 at least. I think it was the Zelda Echoes of Wisdom last year. I really loved that game. So usually I have one like way up there in my top 5. So I had 2 this year, which is really great.
Nice. Cool. All right. My last 2 little shout outs here that are, these are like the least surprising picks ever. If you've ever listened to my Game of the Years, they've probably both been on there multiple times. I'm going to start off with one that I feel like I've just come to terms with, where usually it's like, okay, this is my guilty pleasure pick. I'm never going to be fully done with this game. Usually when Worlds is going on, I get pretty hyped and jump in there just for that reason. But man, not even for that reason anymore. I got so into League of Legends this year. Like actually, like I was like grinding it really hard. A big difference too was, as you know, Dylan, like all MOBAs, they're most MOBAs at least, it's 5v5, and I was able to get like five of us together. So we had like a full 5-man ranked team that we set up. And League of Legends, every month they do these clash tournaments, which is basically just like a amateur little tournament thing. Everybody gets like a free ticket to go in there. It's kind of based on like everyone's general rank on where you'd get placed, and then you go in there, and then I think it's like if you win all of them, you play like 4 or 5 games, and we managed to make it to the finals. We ended up losing in the finals, which was a little bit of a heartbreak, but man, it was so fun to like actually be playing like what we thought was like, this is our pro league tournament. Of course, it's like way lower tier compared to anything compared to like what the professionals play, but it was so much fun. And like just discussing strategies, and like we actually had like a whole like pick and ban phase, like okay, if they pick this is who we're gonna pick around it. So we got like really into it, and it just made the game so fun. Like all these games, like it's so fun to be playing. It's so much better to be playing with friends versus on your own. And because we had a full team, like everyone's on the comms, it was just a whole different experience. And I got so into it. I was like really like trying to learn certain strategies, kind of like solidifying what my champion roster kind of looks like, and just so much fun. So this is definitely like probably my favorite year playing League in like a good amount of time. Like I said, every Worlds comes around, I get hyped. I boot up the game, play a couple matches. Usually it's like, okay, that's kind of it for now. Play it in a couple months or whatnot. But I've been playing like pretty consistently since I got back from Japan. Of course, in Japan is when they were doing the World. So I wasn't able to play League then. I was just watching the game. And then when I got back, I got really hyped on it. And yeah, it's one I'll never be done with it until the game's like just not supported anymore. It's a very popular game, so I kind of doubt that will happen. But shouts out to League, and also rewatched Arcane, so that helps too with the hype.
Just all in that world, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So big shout out there. And then my last shout out would be Total War Warhammer, because now that I have a new computer, I can actually load into battles so fast. It is so crazy. Where I used to like load into a battle, I'd go get some coffee, fold some laundry, like do things, come back. I'm like, oh, still not loaded in. Now I can like load in less than 10 seconds. I'm in the game. Like it is just such a different experience. I love this game so much that I was just putting up with those like crazy hardware issues I was having with my old console. I would have like crash to desktops where I would just like lose progress that I played for the evening, and I would just kind of sit there and like just be so bitter. And I love the game so much, I would be getting back into it, but I would need like a week. I'd have to like forget everything I did, okay, let's try this again. But now that I have like a console or a system that can like actually run it really, really well, it is a whole different experience now. And I've kind of just fallen back in love with the game. They just had a recent DLC drop. I haven't picked it up, but they also announced their Nagash, which is, I actually have a book all about Nagash right there. And it's basically like the original Necromancer character. To all my Warhammer nerds out there, it is like such a hype like DLC drop. We've basically been wanting this since like Warhammer 3 was announced. So now he's finally coming out. So of course I'm going to be just playing the shit out of that game. I'll be giving you my review all about it when that does drop. And yeah, I love this game so much. Now that I have a system that can like run it properly, it's absolutely amazing. So to no surprise to anyone, those are my my two shoutouts. I feel like I probably bring them up every single Game of the Year episode, but maybe not next year because we actually have some really hot bangers that I'm going to be acquiring. I'll probably be able to fill up my whole list of games that actually came out that year. But those are my my little last shoutouts there.
Beautiful. Okay. How about we throw to the one and only Travis. Afterwards, we'll do our last ad break of the show. So yeah, let's hear from Travis. He put a nice spicy one together for you all. So enjoy Travis's Game of the Year list, and we will be right back. Okay, we are back. I haven't, at the time of recording this, I haven't listened to his
Good
thing.
list, Travis. Good list.
Oh, you have listened to it, but I haven't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was trying to break the fourth wall.
Yeah. I have an idea, but I don't know. I don't know what he's picked yet. So I'll have to listen to that before I post this episode. Just make sure he doesn't say anything crazy about me and make up some rumor that I just, publicly post,
Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Which he's been known to do. But yeah, let's, I guess the way I'll do this is I'll shout out my 3 and 2. And then we'll go into your game there, and then we'll close it out with mine. That's probably a nice way to do this. So this it's actually similar to last year, where again with my tiers, the way I break this stuff down. Last year I had like a very solid top 3 tier, and that was UFO 50, it was Balatro, and it was Astrobot. And that was like, oh, these are the god tier games. These are like all timers going on my top 100 list. And then the stuff below that, still like these games, but it was like clearly there's a difference, and that's definitely the case this year as well. It's just funny. It's the same number, top 3. My top 3 is like solidified way higher than the rest of the stuff on this list. Sorry, Donkey Kong Bonanza, but there's a steep drop off between you and my number 3 pick, which is Hollow Knight Silksong, which I'm so happy that this is on my list because I played the first game, never beat it. It was like, yeah, it was all right. I don't really like Metroidvanias usually. It's not really my genre. And so that's why I'm just so thrilled that I can now say I love a Hollow Knight game like everyone else says they love a Hollow Knight game. I feel like similarly when I finally went back years later and played God of War 2018, and I was like, I don't really like this game. That kind of sucks. I wish I could be there with everyone else who loves this game. And then I played Ragnarok and loved Ragnarok. I'm like, yes, okay, I can feel what everyone else is feeling now. I can understand that. And so that's definitely a similar vibe I have here with Silksong. And this game's amazing. And I did not, similar to Blueprints in a way, I didn't do everything in here because after you like beat the game, there's the stuff you can do to go into this whole like new act, and there's like it's way harder, way more like a couple more bosses, new areas, and I did really want to see that stuff just to see what those new areas look like. But the challenge was just a bit too much. I was like, I think I'm gonna hate this game if I keep playing it. So again, I was happy to put it down, but I think that was like 40, 50 hours or something. So it's not like I just cut out a huge chunk of the game or anything. I still played a fuck ton of this thing. And yeah, I think, my goal with it was like, I got to play through this thing and I got to not put it down because Metroidvanias, the moment you put it down and you forget where you were going or what you were doing, that's when you're screwed. And also with difficult games like this, which, has very Dark Souls-y combat, you got to plug through it. You got to fight through the difficult stuff. And man, I loved this game from start to finish. There are a couple zones that kind of bothered me. The classic Poison Swamp, very Souls-like again in that way. And like a icy zone that I wasn't too thrilled with. But this game has like plot twists in terms of story stuff that's happening, but more so just like you get teleported to a new area and something crazy's happening, and that always blew my mind. The way it connects with the previous map, the way just the way this world is pieced together, and all the different hidden pathways that connect and shortcuts you find, or like falling into an area you've been to before, or just in the Dark Souls way, like accidentally happening upon an area that you've been to before and like opening the gate and being like, whoa, these two worlds are connected now. Now I can just like save so much time getting around. Side quests are really great in this game, really fun. I spent a lot of time doing some of that crazy side quest challenges that you can do in here. The music, unbelievable soundtrack, like Lord of the Rings inspired, like crazy mega epic fantasy tales going on here. Combat super good. I don't typically love these 2D Souls-like combat games, but this one really, really worked for me. And I think part of it is like the customization you have with your character. Early on in the game, when you do like a down attack in the air, it's one of those things that like dashes you like into the ground. And I hate those.
Incineroar, yeah. Man.
I hate that stuff. I hate those kind of moves. I don't want to be thrown to the ground. And when any character that has it in Smash, I instantly dislike those characters a lot more. But eventually you unlock like a different crest is what it's called, and it removes that, and then you get like a regular down attack that you can like bounce with, that kind of like from the original Hollow Knight. And I was like, man, this is my thing. I love this. But even with that, I would still switch it up sometimes just to try different builds, using different things like that. Even had to grind sometimes in this game to level up, and I actually didn't mind that. I found some fun, interesting grind paths. Really cool bosses, like really well designed in terms of the style, in terms of the theming behind them, but then also the gameplay mechanics of it, and a couple that really, really, I was beating my head against the wall to finally beat them, but they felt really good when I did so. Only a couple was I actually pissed off of like, these hitboxes are stupid, and I was like genuinely salty, but for the most part that was not the case. And yeah, it's just such a weird, dour, strange world, but I just loved it. I'm so glad that I can be a Hollow Knight fan now, and this doesn't actually make me want to go back and like finally beat Hollow Knight 1. I'm just like, yeah, I do like Silksong. I'm more of a Silksong guy, and I can just live with that. So shout out to Hollow Knight Silksong. Yeah, number 3 on my list, solidly. I really, really loved it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad that just because there was so much anticipation for that game, and it just being the sequel of a very well-known title. I just remember seeing some of the reviews there. It just seems like the general reception is that they did it. It's just that good. I've seen some gameplay, and it does look really fun. Just I'm not really attached to the series, so I haven't really raced to get there. Clearly, the lack thereof my 2025 games, but definitely want to give it a try nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my number 2 is a number 2 in a series, and that is going to be Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, which I really tossed this one around, man. Like it was at 3 at times. I debated, is this my game of the year at times? And it's a weird one because I feel like I could almost say more things I dislike about this game than I like about them, because in many ways it did let me down and is disappointing, to be honest, as a sequel and as such a big fan. Like Death Stranding 1, I don't think it was my game of the year. I think it was my number 2 in like 2019. So I love that first one. Weirdly, I guess this is my number 2 again, just like it was back.
Always the silver medal.
Yeah, always. Never the bride, always the bridesmaid. Yeah. So I think just to get the negative out of the way, I mean, the story for me, pretty disappointing. Some of the plot twists and character stuff, I just don't think is like super duper well done. I mean, I really like the characters and the performances for the most part, with a couple exceptions, but I think just generally the story and what it's doing just doesn't really work for me, especially like compared to how much a lot of stuff worked for me in the first game. Of course, a lot of the stuff in Death Stranding world is just like weird and obscure and strange, and I like strange stuff, but I think that this one didn't really make sense for me in a lot of ways, in like just terms of like character motivations and that kind of level of it. And I also feel like the game is a bit too easy, and that's even after me bumping it up to like the hardest difficulty and really wanting to engage with it, a lot of the cool mechanics that exist. But I just feel like the game wasn't pushing me to really get creative like the first one did, even though there's like a ton of new options in this game just because of the way it was designed. So those are a couple of the downsides for me. But like the reality is I spent a ridiculous amount of time in this game. I think like 100 hours or something. I got the platinum trophy, and getting that platinum trophy sucked. Like the last 20 hours of that is awful, just like monotonous, doing deliveries of the same things over and over again, not really seeing new stuff. You get a couple like late game quests unlock if you do that, which weren't like the most exciting quests, but I still like did it anyway, which like made me sour on it a bit. But even with all this stuff said, like it still is my number 2 because I love how weird this game is. I love the world. I love being in this world. And so even if I wasn't enjoying like some of the ending grind of getting that trophy, to get like all the, level 5 tier for all the different preppers, I still just wanted to be in that world, driving around, hiking up, hopping on my bike, planning out routes, getting efficiency, building up my highways, all that stuff. I just love the vibes. I like being in this world. So I think that's ultimately why it climbs up to that number 2 spot. And yeah, I really like the social mechanics. Many times I bumped into Travis's bridges or other battery towers and things like that, or just other players, of course. But it always tickled me when I would see Travis's stuff specifically in there. And yeah, just some very memorable moments, some really great cutscenes, some silly stuff, a lot of funny stuff in here, which is always a plus as well. So yeah, even though it let me down in some ways, I still had a grand time with Death Stranding 2. Definitely not as good as the original for me, even if it's in a similar spot on my top 10 list. But yeah, I had a great time with Death Stranding 2. On the beach, I was definitely on that beach big time. And yeah, so I think you will enjoy this game as well when you finally get around to it. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Good roster of actors in there too. Like, what's the big one? Elle Fanning, right?
Yep.
She's in there now.
Cool
Any
character.
new faces that I would have recognized? I feel like they also just get some actors that I've never seen before, but they just seem familiar and they just kill it.
A lot of those.
Die Hartman, I think that's one of them, if I remember correctly. It's like those types of guys.
Yeah, definitely a few of those for sure. Yeah, shoutouts to Death Stranding. And
nice.
Kirkland, what is your 2025 game of the year?
Yeah, so sticking to the theme of kind of what I had at the start of the year, couch co-op, it's also kind of similar to your Hollow Knight example where you just had like a lot of anticipation for it, and it was like, man, if this doesn't hit, this is gonna be very disappointing. Fortunately, it wasn't the case with Split Fiction from Hazelight Studios. Shay and I were very much looking forward to this game, and did not disappoint by any means. Really, really love the story. I love the characters in it. The gameplay was phenomenal. If you played any other of the Hazelights, like you kind of know what you're getting into. I guess specifically It Takes Two, where like there's just so many, kind of what I was talking about earlier, how like you have your main game mechanics, but like within it, they just have like really unique like little mini games in there. And this one definitely has that also. I just also love like the worlds that we go to, whether it's the sci-fi or the fantasy. I was a lot more excited for the fantasy elements, but I was kind of surprised how much I ended up liking of the sci-fi stuff. You kind of go to like a Neo Tokyo level. That's a big level in the game, and yeah, it was just really, really phenomenal. I think by the end, like when you do the last boss, it was like, okay, yeah, not my favorite like big bad finale type villain take out, but just the journey in and of itself was just amazing. That like, yeah, okay, that was a great time. And there's even some side missions that we haven't even gone back and finished, so there is still more content for us to get in there, and we should, now that we both have a bunch of days off here over the holidays. That'd be a good time to jump in there, especially if January we're going to be playing a lot of Cult of the Lamb. We won't have time for something like this, but no, it's amazing. And definitely Hazelight Studios, man, like they're on my radar now. Like anytime they have another game that releases, even if it's not like they had A Way Out. What was that, them? Right?
Yeah.
That was another co-op game that not really one that I was too interested in compared to like It Takes Two or Split Fiction here. Shay really didn't like the animation of It Takes Two, which I was really disappointed about because I was just really excited to play that with her. Maybe she'll come around and we'll be able to get through it. Just really cool story and really cool just way to tell their story, and just I feel like there's a lot of layers to each character. It's not like one is just like, you have your Mario, who's just like the main character. The whole story revolves around them, and then you got Luigi as the side character. I feel like they both have a lot of good juice in there, and it was a phenomenal game. We had so much fun playing it, and I was really impressed too, because like, Shay likes to play games, but like her mains are like Hello Kitty on Adventure. That was a big one that she played a lot this year. Animal Crossing, like more laid back. Minomi Lane, I think that's what that one's called. Minomi, yeah. Unpacking, good little just like vibe games. And some of the mechanics in this game is like not easy. So for like someone that isn't normally playing like platformers, and specifically like 3D platformers where you have to be like really good at both joysticks, like moving the camera around, like she was getting really good at it. So I was definitely impressed with her progress there. And yeah, we had so much fun with this, and like I already said, like I'm ready for that next Hazelight announcement. This just came out, so I'm not in a rush for it. They can cook a little bit longer, but big fan of just couch co-op games in general, and it's cool that we still have studios putting out like focused on couch co-op play. It's not like it's just, oh yeah, we have our game, but then there's also couch co-op in there. Like it's the main mechanics of it. So and you played a little bit of it this year, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I've probably played about half of it, and I did try like about a month ago I really wanted to finish it by the time Game of the Year stuff was happening. And me and Jessica did boot it up and tried to get it working, but just like the Switch 2 friend pass, it was kind of ridiculous. Like it's just it's broken. Like you literally just can't do an online lobby with the Switch 2 version, I guess, because like I've only ever played it like on the TV with a friend, like on the couch. But like you just straight up can't do like online with it. Like it's just
That's
broken.
pretty stupid.
So I couldn't finish it, unfortunately. But yeah, I it was an honorable mention for me as well that I knew you were going to bring up at some point. So that's why I didn't mention it earlier. But I think based on what I played of it, I enjoyed it. I don't think it would have been like a top fiver for me. So it probably could have snuck into that like 8, 9, 10 slot if I had finished it. But I mean, I accidentally heard a spoiler for like the main mechanic of that final area or final level or whatever, and it sounds fucking cool as hell. So I'm sure that would like bump it up the rating big time as well. And yeah, like how much creativity and like work went into the quote unquote side quests, like just completely new art style and like gameplay system and like character that you're controlling sometimes. So yeah, really, really cool game, really fun, and yeah, really freaking hard for me too, who games all day long. So yeah, shouts to Shay for making it through there. So yeah, definitely one I will try and finish when I have someone who can sit on the couch with me and finish it that way. But yeah, cool game.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay, my game of the year is maybe no surprise to anyone. It's kind of the unanimous game of the year, at least the Game Awards, and everywhere else in the world. It is Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which
Round of applause.
Yeah, which is funny because I can't think of another time where my game of the year is like the unanimous game of the year. Because like I guess Astrobot was maybe that last year, and that was like top 3 for me. But then before that, it was like Baldur's Gate or Tears of the Kingdom, which games I really like Baldur's Gate, but not quite my game of the year. And like I don't know, Elden Ring was not my number 1 in that given year. Like I feel like I'm always at least from like top 2 or 3 or 5, maybe even up to the 5. It's like I'm never in that same unanimous spot with everyone else. But that just goes to show how freaking good Clair Obscur is that, like, this was not even a question. So much of my list, I even just mentioned, like, Death Stranding 2, like, oh, I don't know, is it number 3? Is it number 2? Mario Kart Donkey Kong may be interchangeable. Like, Adamfall could have been not on my list, but it's, like, in number 6. A lot of things change. But, like, Clair Obscur, it's like, once I beat that game, it's like, oh, yeah, this is number 1. And it's pretty much number 0, right? Like, I just don't even have to think about it. It's just in that slot. Nothing's going to move it. And like it came out early enough that I was playing a lot of things throughout this year, but yeah, at times maybe Death Stranding felt like, ooh, this could be my game of the year, but no, not really, not like in a realistic sense. Like Clair Obscur is just that freaking good. And yeah, it fires on all cylinders, as you mentioned. Like I also, this genre for me, like turn-based RPG things like this. Like I like tactics games, but this kind of RPG, not usually my specific cup of tea. But damn, this game just works in every way. I love the combat system. It's so unique with just like so many quality of life systems in there. Just the RPG mechanics of building out your characters and the way it evolves and the variety you get like as the game progresses is extremely impressive. The game doesn't have a huge roster of characters, but there's enough in there, and all of them are like extremely uniquely designed that I wanted to play with all of them and like figure out how they all tick and use them in different scenarios. So that's great. And I of course had my favorites, but I was constantly switching them out, try the different styles, try the different equipment that I was unlocking. I mean, the music's outstanding. Best soundtrack of the year. Game looks great, which I almost felt weird about. I'm happy because like a week ago there was some controversy of people like Clair Obscur has AI art in it, and I was like, oh fuck, I was just ready to praise this game and how gorgeous it is. And then like just today they were finally like explaining how they used AI art and that they used it in like prototyping and stuff, and then like the one texture like snuck through past the game's launch, but they patched it out like 5 days later or something like that. So I'm okay now to praise the art because like it actually is all real man-made art. There are some areas that are kind of sloppy looking, but for me it's like the design of the characters is outstanding. Like they just look so cool. The design of the world and like the weird France they have, the monolith which we have is like the background right now on our video version and the thumbnail. Like just the design of all the creatures and the weird folks in the world is all outstanding. I think for me, the thing that bumps it up to the very, very top though is the story. I think I'm confident in saying that this is my favorite video game story ever. Kirkland.
Wow, that's crazy.
I think
with the quantity of games that you've played, that's pretty insane.
Yeah. According to Backloggd, over 900 games. I'm nearing 1,000. I'm gonna get 1,000 next year. Games played. Which is, I wonder. I'll have to plan out what my 1,000th game is and make sure it's a good one.
It better not be a dud. Yeah.
Maybe GTA 6. Maybe that can be my 1,000th.
That would be crazy. Yeah.
I'll aim for that. But yeah, I think that's true. I think this is my favorite video game story ever. Like the I guess just like straight up with the characters, all of them have their own individual story. Some of them are like Lune, who's kind of like, I guess she is like it's an ensemble cast thing, but she has her own like kind of side story situation going on with her parents and stuff. That's really touching. CL has like a heartbreaking story. Every individual character has their own thing. And obviously the protagonists get like a lot more of that story given on there. Crazy plot twists that happen. Of course, all these characters too, like amazing just performances, and the way the scenes are shot too. It's extremely cinematic, and all that is amazing. And yeah, there's layers to this, and some people, there's like certain plot twists that happen like Act 2 or later in the game that people don't jive with, but I think are really great and really interesting, and just made me rethink things. And this game has 2 endings, not quite like Adamfall, where it has a bunch of different ones. Again, I wanted to see both of them just to see the different variations, and I think both of the variations on the ending are extremely cool and interesting. This game just got like a new free little DLC stuff with some extra things in there. I didn't jump into that. I've heard it's mostly just like extremely hard boss fights. This is not a game where I want to do everything in it, even though I love it so much, because some of those late game boss fights are just cracked, and I'm like, this is not enjoyable to me. To like, I need to learn this parry timing, or I'm not going to beat this, and I just have to have insane, reaction time. And like, no, I'm good. Like, I beat some really hard bosses, but I did like just enough for me. And it sounds like the DLC is mostly just really, really hard bosses. I love this game also has like a sense of humor. There's like some janky like platform challenges you get to do. The NPCs and like their weird dialogue and weird look to them have like a silliness to them. There's like mimes you're fighting, and you can get costumes that's like the characters with baguettes on their back and like French little hats and stuff like that. So the game has a sense of humor to it as well. I mean, even just like the first 15 minutes of this game is one of the best video game stories ever. Like it makes you cry in the first like 15 minutes of this game. Like it starts out extremely strong and doesn't really let up at any point in time. And yeah, the game just opens multiple times in terms of like, starts out fairly linear, then gets a little bit less linear, and then gets just like, whoa, crazy the way it's open, and just lets you go do all sorts of different stuff. But at the same time, it feels like there isn't just a ton of extra crap in there. Like it feels like toned down and scaled perfectly. So yeah, I don't have anything negative to say about this game. It's so freaking good. I love this game. All-timer for me. And yeah, my favorite video game story of all time. I will declare that on this episode. I will declare it in the monolith. I'll etch it into rock. I'll say that, and we'll see if that can be beaten in the future. But yeah, unbelievable game. And yeah, Kirkland, you need to play it.
Yeah. It's high up on the list now. And it's funny, which is how like clearly this has been everyone that's played this game, it's like this is the best game of the year, like just without a doubt. I've heard some of the tracks like music wise, and it is just so
beautiful.
It's so beautiful. And yeah, it's great like background tunes. I had it a couple times, like it would just be on like one of my Spotify radios. It would just come on when I was listening to like a gaming playlist, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? And then I saw it was like Clair Obscur. I'm like, oh man, I gotta get in this game at some point. But I'm almost like waiting for that like, oh yeah, like whether it's the AI thing or like something that brings it down. Yeah. When I hear the AI thing, I'm not really too bothered by that, personally. But when just like hearing how phenomenal the music is, the visuals, the voice actors, and just who's in there, the story, and like it's not even a full price game. I'm like, what is going on with this game? Like this is just so bizarre. I don't understand why it's not a full price game when I look at like a $90, I don't know, EA FIFA or something that it's like the same game they put out every single year, and it's like a $90 game. It's just like they haven't even changed anything about it. But then I look at this, and it's just like such a unicorn.
And this DLC thing they just put out free as well.
Yeah, for free. Yeah, why not? We just won Game of the Year. Yeah, let's do that. So shouts out to Clair Obscur. Who even is Clair Obscur? I probably asked you this before. Is this like a Tom Clancy type thing?
There is no, it's not based on a book or anything.
Okay.
There's no character named Clair Obscur or anything.
Okay.
I think the French to English translation is Light Dark of Clair Obscur.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly I think when I truncate it, I think I usually call it Expedition 33 because that's more of like what the game's about. It is about you on the 33rd expedition, I guess, or the Expedition 33 specifically. So, yeah, I don't know. Interesting title. I think like they could have maybe left that out, but I wonder how that works for like a series thing, but also it just sounds good, Clair Obscur. So either way, if you call it Expedition 33 or Clair Obscur, both good names. Yeah. So there, it has two good names in one.
It just keeps winning.
Better than Ball X Pit in terms of titling. We can say that for sure.
If you ask me, yes. It's just a beautiful name too. That's why I thought it was a person this whole time. I thought it was like this is like the director, like Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding. Like that's the type of thing I get from it. But
yeah,
it's a cool title nonetheless.
Yeah. So I guess Clair Obscur, I did I think roughly hour-long solo deep dive thought on like spoiler stuff, so people can go back check that out. And for I think every game on my list and all your mentions, like of course we do Sidequest every week. We talk about these things as we're playing them. So Death Stranding 2 has a big spoiler cast. Donkey Kong Bonanza. Me and Travis did that recently, actually talking about some of the spoilers. Silk Song, I did another solo one talking just through all my different favorite moments of that game. So if you want to hear more about any of the games mentioned, just go onto the Sidequest feed, Control F, search it. If you can't find it, let me know. I can help you track it down. A lot of these games like Adamfall or Avowed were talked about in multiple episodes, so those might be harder to find. For the big spoilery ones, those are kind of easier to find on the feed. YouTube, there's a playlist there. Go on the Sidequest feed. If you didn't know about this, Geekverse, of course, we have Geekverse where all these episodes go, but we also have the specific Sidequest feed. So if you want to find things easier, that's a good place to go because if it just filters out all the other Geekverse stuff, so you can help you find some of those episodes. So yeah, there's a lot more if you want to hear about any more of these games than we talked about. Every single one of them, even Split Fiction, you talked about that in a big way on at least one or two other episodes. So that came up as well. So yeah, thank you, Kirkland. Thank you for joining me. This was a fun thing. Oh, Taylor just messaged me. He did record his thing. So time travel. Ads. Earlier in the episode, everyone's already knows about this, but you heard Taylor's Game of the Year, so have fun with that. I haven't listened to it yet, obviously.
Good list, Taylor.
Yeah, I'm glad that he got that in time so that all four of us are in one episode here. Thank you for another great year of Sidequest and podcasting and games of the year. Of course, early in January, we always do the preview for 2026, which is going to be a spicy one this year, and then we'll follow it up the week after with the draft. So stay tuned for all of that. And yeah, there's no break or anything. Next week you'll get another Sidequest episode as you normally would. We're not going anywhere, but we're going to play a bunch of games over our break here, and I'm sure we'll report back all of that in January. So again, Kirkland, thank you for joining me. Thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you all next time. Happy holidays, and bye-bye. Bye.